So last session we learned all language basics. So we discussed about TypeScript language basics. These TypeScript language basics are same like JavaScript, variables, data types, operators, and statements, right? Statements, all these concepts are same. Statements and functions, all these concepts are same. Variables, data types, already I explained what is the difference in TypeScript. And operators, already you learned in JavaScript. What are operators? We have arithmetic operators, comparison operators, logical operators, assignment operators. We have what else? Bitwise operators, right? And you have special operators. JavaScript special operators. What are those? Any idea? Arithmetic, comparison, logical, all these operators are same JavaScript operators. Special operators means in JavaScript you have ternary operator. Ternary is question mark colon. You have delete. You have type of instance of in of new void. All these comes under special operators. These all are called special operators. In JavaScript, whatever special operators are there, all operators are same in TypeScript. There is no change, right? Next, statements also same. Statements means we have selection statements. Selection statements means if, else, switch, case, default, all these are selection statements. We have iteration statements. Iteration statements we have like for in and for off. These are iteration. Looping statements we have like for, while, do while, all these are looping. You have jump statements like break. So we have continue, we have return, all this comes under jump. JavaScript this is, right? So, and we have exception handling statements. Exception handling statements, we have try, catch, throw, finally, all these are exception handling in JavaScript. These are all exception handling statements. Functions also same concepts, no change. That means in JavaScript, function parameters, in REST parameters. These are new in JavaScript ES6 and higher version onwards. You have function closures. So function recursion. We have like function promise. These and arrow functions, all these are functions concept. These are all JavaScript things, and whatever you learned in JavaScript here also we use in the same way. So up to this all are JavaScript basics only. Few changes you learned in how to write data types, how to use union types, how to declare array for similar values, all such things we learned. Now what is more important you have to learn in TypeScript is actually, because these are JavaScript basics, we are not going to repeat them or discuss anything. All you will learn in JavaScript only, okay? So here the new things you have to learn is the TypeScript OOP concepts, object-oriented programming. We will detailedly discuss about these points because in JavaScript we don't have all complete OOP support, but in TypeScript we have complete OOP support. This is where you have to clearly learn everything detailedly. Actually, I don't need to give introduction. I hope you know. In computer programming, means in a real world, in real world application development, in real world application development uses various programming systems like we have number one POPS, we call as process oriented programming system. Process oriented programming system. Example for POPS is C, Pascal, COBOL. All these type of languages are example for POPS. We have OBPS. So OBPS is object based programming system. Object based programming system. OBPS. We have languages like VB, Visual Basic. Visual Basic is a object based programming system. And we have object oriented programming system. So object oriented programming system. I hope you know the differences between them. Object oriented programming system like C++, Java, all .NET languages, all these comes under. TypeScript is also an OOP language. So process oriented programming systems, object based programming system, object oriented programming system. I hope when you started learning OOP concepts in Java, .NET like technologies, you learned what is difference between various programming systems. What is POPS, what is OBPS, what is OOPS, the differences between them. And here we are going to learn object oriented programming system, right? Just in object oriented programming system, so many features are there and so many drawbacks also there. I hope already I told you drawback, na? JavaScript don't have this, we discussed about that. Now today we will detailedly discuss about the object oriented programming system in TypeScript. One by one we will discuss all the concepts. So in this object oriented programming, first important you need to know is about contracts. In object oriented programming, first we have to learn about contracts. In OOP concepts, one of the major concept is contract. Actually, what is a contract? Contract means nothing but in real time development, in real time project development, as a designer, developer, everything you have to design as per contract. That means actually contract is nothing but a contract defines rules for designing a component. A contract defines rules for designing a component. So in software development, everything we have to do as per contract. In software development, everything we have to do as per contract. For example, I will tell you one simple example. Suppose we are working for a project. When you are working for a project, example I will tell you. So we have to prepare a database. That means now we have use some bank application. We have a bank app. For bank application, we are designing a bank application, and for bank application, we have to prepare database. That means your job is designing database. And for that, you are trained on Oracle, or you are trained on SQL Server. You trained on Oracle or SQL Server, right? Now, important is your job role is designing database. Now the question is, you are a developer, you have to design database for this bank application. Now the question is, what is the reference given to you, and what is the reference that you see and design database? That means to design database for a project, what is the reference given to you? Question understood? To design a database for a project, what is the reference given to you? By seeing that you have to design database. That means you cannot design imaginary. You cannot design in your own style. You have to follow some reference. What is the reference used by database designers to design a database for any project? Any idea? Question understood? You have to design a database for a project. For that, in a company, what is the reference given to you? They say that see this and design. You have to design according to that. What is it? Anyone? Database, documentation only. In documentation for database people, what is the reference? Documentation contains a lot of things. In documentation for designing database, what is the contract? What is the reference for you? Have you heard about ER diagram? You heard about ER diagram? Yeah? No? To design a database, this is the diagram we have to see and design. Actually, to design database, see, to create database, generally we have database models. We have conceptual model. We have physical model. We have logical model. And we have entity model. These are the four important database models: conceptual model, physical model, logical model, entity model. First step is our team will design a conceptual model. Conceptual model means in that they will mention which module needs data. In a project, there may be 20 modules. All 20 modules doesn't need data. Data is required only for few modules. Every module doesn't require data. Only few modules need data. Which module out of these 20 needs data? We will first prepare a list for that. And that is called as conceptual model. Understood? So conceptual model means a model that specifies which module requires data. In a project, there may be several modules, but every module doesn't require data. So for example, see, actually, we have a login module. We have a register module. We have change password. Am I right? Now, for these three modules, how many tables are required? For these three modules, how many tables are required? Only one is enough. One is enough because at the time of registration, we will collect all the detail. Login will be done through the table only. Change password also have to do on the table only. That means, is every module needs a new data table? No. But all modules are using the data. That means, which module needs data, which module doesn't require data, that we will decide first. We will prepare a list of all the modules that needs data. That model is called conceptual model. First, we prepare conceptual model. You see, I will show you a sample project related data. You see, this is a sample project related data. You see, this is conceptual model. A conceptual model looks like this. This is just an example of some sample project. A conceptual model looks like this. It contains information about the modules that need data. Now, after you design this, a review team will come. That review team will verify. Have you correctly mentioned the modules? Are you not missing any one module? You are not giving any extra module. A review team will review. After my review team says that, okay, this is good, you can go with this, then our team will prepare another model called physical model. In that physical model, we will mention about for every module what data need to be stored. That means for user registration, we need a table. For user registration, what fields we need? What should be the table name? What are the fields? What is the data type of field? All this is decided in physical model. The second step, after conceptual model is ready, we will prepare physical model. In physical model, what we mention? In physical model, we mention about physical model looks like this. This is physical model. Physical model looks like this. In physical model, we will mention table name, we will mention field name, we will mention data types and everything. Now again, a review team will come. They will review. They will verify that you are mentioning all fields according to client requirement. You are not missing any field. You are not mismatching any field. You are not missing any data type. You are not mismatching data type. They will verify everything. After verifying all this physical model, if they certify that, okay, you can go with this, then our team will prepare another model called logical model. In this logical model, we will mention relationship between data. That means which module related to another module. Are there any relations available? Are there any relations required? Which module is related to another module? These all relationships are defined in logical model. And again, review will happen. That review team will review and verify that we are not mismatching relation. We are not missing relation. They will verify everything. And once our review team says that, okay, this is good, you can go with this, then our team will prepare the entity model. This is entity model. That is what you call as ER diagram. That means they will mention table name, field name, data type, relationship, everything. Now a database designer is given with this diagram. By seeing this diagram, we have to design the database. And remember, as per the diagram, everything should be exact match. You cannot miss any field, you cannot miss any relation, everything should be according to this. No extra, anything extra should not be what is not here. What is mentioned here, you have to design exactly like that. Now, this is a contract for designing database. Understood? This is a contract for designing database. Database is designed as per this contract. Contract means what? Suppose you see general. So a house construction, we given contract to a builder. What does that means? We sign a contract with the builder that he will use these things. He will design like this. He will put these quality products inside it. According to the contract, he have to design. He will even mention in the contract when it will finish, by which time he will hand over us. Everything should be according to contract. That means he cannot miss anything which is in the contract. Right? That means a contract is nothing but it defines rules for designing component. So technically, a contract defines rules for designing a component. That means developer uses contract and designs component as per contract. As per contract only we have to design. So it is mandatory in any object-oriented programming, you have to design any component using a contract only. For example, I will show you. See, let's go to our TypeScript project. In Visual Studio, we have our TypeScript project. And in this project, we will go to index.ts file. So in this, I am creating product. Product is an object. Then I will give data type as any. Object means in a block, I am mentioning name. Name is some Samsung TV. It is string type. And I am mentioning price. Price is some 56,000. Some stock is some bullion. Like this I mentioned. Now see, accidentally, so in the name, I mentioned some number. It will take. There is no problem. That means now we have a component which is not following any contract. In that case, lot of illegal, lot of contradictory values make store. Contradictory means what we are expecting is not stored in the same way. That means now currently this component doesn't have any contract. This is not the right way to design a component. So we have to design a contract. And do you know, I hope you already learned, but you don't know technically. So contracts are designed by using interface. If anybody asked you, you learned OOP language. Have you learned interfaces? What is the purpose of interface? If anyone asks, what is the purpose of interface in object-oriented programming? What is the purpose of interface in object-oriented programming? You learned interface. What is purpose of interface? This is the purpose. Interfaces are used to design contracts. Interfaces are used for designing contracts. That means you can design contracts so that every component will be designed as per contract. And how to design contracts. Contracts are designed by using interface. In any object-oriented programming, the purpose of interface is contracts. Right? You see now, see here, how to create interface. So syntactically like this, interface, any name, and here we have to mention the rules. What rules you want for a component, you have to mention the rules. So let's see how to do that. I will go here now. I am writing price as TV. Currently it is taking anything. I am writing true or false as string. Currently it is taking anything. Now how to design a contract? I have to create an interface. Interface name. I will give the name as product contract. Any name you can give, doesn't matter. Product contract. Okay. What are the rules? As per the contract, as per the client requirement, name, that means product must have a name. What should be the data type of name? Name should be string. Okay. That's it. Now price. Price must be number. You have to mention the type. Another one, stock. Stock should be Boolean. That is how we design. Now this contract must be used by the component. It must be used by the component. Now I will remove this any and make this to use that contract. Now see automatically errors. As per the contract, you see one more I am adding. Quantity is number. Okay. Now see, as per the contract, see first error, name number not assignable because its type is string. Where I mentioned in the contract. In the contract, I mentioned that name must be string. So it must be string. You cannot store anything else. That means now I will store some string here. So that is okay. And see, second problem, price must be number. String is not assignable. Now, as per the contract, it is also done. Stock is a Boolean. False I written as a string type. That is not possible. I have to make it as false. Still problem is there. What is the problem? As per the contract, every product must have a quantity and our developer not designed. Then it is error. That means in real-time projects, you cannot be on your own. That means you cannot even give a name by your own. Name also you have to follow some standards. You have to follow certain rules. What is difference between learning level programming and real-time programming? Learning level programming is all about just imaginary. Is all about dummy values. Dummy values means some X, Y, Z, A, B, C. But in real world projects, all according to standards. Even remember which color you apply for text, that also as per standards, as per rules. You cannot give a different one. For example, I will show you simple point here. See, suppose Amazon. We open Amazon. In this, you see this is Amazon. So much, this is Amazon site. You have so many things here. So many options are there here. So many contents are there here. Suppose I am opening Flipkart. Observe different shopping sites here. When I open Flipkart, you can see different options are there. Different colors, different effects are there. Different colors, different effects are there. Now, for example, if I ask you a question like why this is having a maroon background, others are having some white background, others are having some green background, others are having some brown. Why this is having a maroon background? It's not like it looks beautiful or it is his favorite color. That's the reason he used it. This indicates premium. That means some premium products. That color indicates royal. Blue and maroon, this belongs to royal. That means premium. Suppose you see any supermarket, lot of supermarket websites, you will see green color. Have you observed? What does green represents? Fresh. Right? Even which color they have to use, that also standard. You cannot simply put a color because it is your favorite color, it looks beautiful in that color. No, we have to put as per standards. Right, as per standards. And very important, you know, actually, I hope majority people are not aware. Suppose, see, I go to this. What does strikeout means here? What is the meaning of strikeout in a price? What majority of people think about this is, majority of people think that that is old price. Am I right? No. Strikeout means that price may come back anytime again. That is the meaning of strikeout. Understood? Technically. Why strikeout? What is the meaning of strikeout? Means it is not permanent. It may come back anytime. That is the meaning of strikeout. So even a small comma, exclamation mark have so much meaning. As a real-time developer, you cannot put an exclamation. Suppose you are typing some message, you written in capital letters, then client will ask you why you are writing capital here. It's not good. Why? Because capital means you are forcibly telling him. Why you are forcibly telling him? You have to be very pleasefully telling him. You have to beg him. He is customer. You cannot order him. You have to just tell him, say, please take this, not take this. Even capital letters, do you know bold capital letters are very strong words. You cannot use bold everywhere. You are using bold means you are rudely telling. You are strongly telling. You can't tell like that. That means every bold, italic, comma, exclamation also have a lot of meaning. In real-time development, everything matters. Because majority of our clients are foreign clients. Our projects are all foreign-based projects. Then in foreign-based projects, that is their native language. In their native language, a comma, exclamation, bold, capitals, everything matters. That is expression for them. For you, English is a general learning language. For them, it is their expressive language. You cannot write bold. You cannot write caps unnecessarily. Such standards are there in every computer programming. That is the reason real-time environment is almost same like what you learned. But only the difference is the learner will not immediately set into real-time environment because he don't know all these rules. He will learn gradually. That means they give you training on all such rules, standards, they will tell you. That means as per the contract, every member mentioned in the contract is mandatory. You see, now what is problem in this? It is saying that quantity is missing. Because according to the contract, there must be quantity. And now I will write quantity. quantity, so some number, that's okay. I am adding extra category as electronics. It's not working. Why? Because it immediately says that there is no category in the contract. That means you cannot add any extra also. You cannot miss anything. You cannot mismatch anything. You cannot add any extra. So interfaces in any object-oriented programming, they are used for designing contracts. We design contract by using interface. So if anybody asks at higher level, what is the purpose of interface? If you answer interface is for contracts, that's very good answer. Architecturally, very strong answer. That means at learning level, you may learn in a different points, but architecturally contract means interface. Interface means contract. That means what is the purpose of interface? Contracts designed using interface, and every rule in a contract, is mandatory to implement. Every rule in a contract is mandatory to implement. Every property is mandatory. Every property is mandatory by default. You cannot add any new property which is not mentioned in contract. Understood? You cannot add any new property which is not mentioned in contract. So what is in contract? You have to define only that. That is first important thing. Now, how to design a contract and how to implement the contract. I will give an example here. So this is example, okay? I will copy this example. Here, this is the example for that. So we have an interface. We have an interface product contract. In that interface, we defined some rules, properties. Now, so many points are there. One by one, we will discuss. Another important is here. Another important is in the contracts, you should know contract can contain only rules. Contract can contain only rules. Contract can contain only rules, no implementation. Contract can contain only rules, no implementation. There should not be any implementation. Contract can contain only rules, no implementation. What does that mean? That means, for example, we are designing an interface. Interface name. In this, we defined some price, and it is what type? Number type is equal to some number, right? So this is invalid. That means you can have only rule, no value. That means you have to tell what is its name, what is its type. That's it. There is no value, no implementations. It should contain only rules, no implementation. So you cannot assign any value. Only rule. Rule means rule comprises of name and type. That's it. Only name and type. What should be the name? What should be the type? That's it. You cannot have anything. This is very important about contract. Now, so many points are there. So many options are there. Up to this, understood everyone? So, what is the purpose of interface in any object-oriented programming language? What is the purpose of interface? Why interfaces are used by developers? Developers use interfaces for designing contracts. And what is a contract? Contract defines rules for designing any component. Components cannot be designed simply without any rules. They have to follow certain rules. And for that, we have to use interface. Now, very important here, you should know that a contract can contain optional rules. A contract can contain optional rules. Actually, every rule in a contract is compulsory. But some rules you can make optional. Optional means they can ignore. They can ignore. For example, see here, I am making another rule that every product must have category. Category is what type? String. Then as per the contract, category is missing. We haven't mentioned category, but category is optional. Now the question is, why you need optional rules? Category can be optional, but the question is, why you need optional rules? You said rules. Rules means mandatory. Why you are putting a rule and why you are saying that you can ignore it? Why to ignore any rule? For that, you need to understand one concept. Actually, why to ignore rules? You need to know this point. See, actually, when you are developing a project, when you are building an application, every project have objective and every project have goal. What is difference between objective and goal? Every project have an objective and every project have a goal. What is difference between objective and goal? What is the difference between objective and goal? What do you say? What is the difference between objective and goal? No idea. Objective is rules. Okay. Goal. Generally, these are English words, man. What is your goal? Means? What is your goal? To suppose become a doctor. Will you become a doctor? Guarantee? Then that means objective is always achievable and must be achieved. It is time bound. Goal may or may not. Understood? An objective is always achievable and must achieve. And goal may or may not. If you achieve, very good. Not, it's okay. That means, for example, I will tell you, we are designing some Redbus website. Right? In that, we have bus availability, reservation. Two options are there, and live tracking of bus. Okay, three modules are there. Now tell me, in these three, which can be ignored? Which can be ignored? If it is not there, it's okay. So that is goal. And bus availability not working. Primary thing were not working. That's not good. The main purpose of application is bus availability. It should work. Right? That is objective. Reservation, it must work. That is objective. Right? Live tracking, working, very good. Not working, it's okay. We have alternative mechanism. Our driver will call you before it comes to the stop. We will send an SMS. If you have live tracking working, it's very good, fine. Not working, it's okay. That is not mandatory. This is goal. That means you can ignore, optional, not mandatory. But if you achieve it, it's very good for application. Not achieve, no problem. It's okay. It goes on. That is the point. So category name, it's okay. But if I know the category name, I can understand that, okay, it is electronics, it is footwear, it is fashion. So it is easy for searching in that category for that type of products. So, but it's optional. So how you can mention how a contract can contain optional rules? Actually, optional rules are used to design a goal for module. Understood? To design a goal for module. And optional rules are defined by using null reference character, that is question mark. That means what we do is we just write category question mark, it is string type. That means it is optional. After the name, you have to put a question mark that indicates that it is optional. Actually, you might have learned in JavaScript, right? We have question mark, we have plus, we have asterisk like characters. The meaning of question mark is 0 or 1 occurrence. 0 or 1 occurrence. That means it can be 0 times or it can be 1 time. Plus means 1 or more occurrence. Asterisk means 0 or more occurrence. 0 or more occurrence. These are all characters used in general programming, means in general HTML. JavaScript, you will use these meta characters. Here, we cannot use plus or asterisk. I am just telling you those characters. Question mark means 0 or 1. That means optional. It is optional. You can define optional fields. Optional fields you can configure like this. That means it currently says that category must be there, missing. But I want to make it optional. Just put a question mark. Now it is okay, no problem. That means now there is no problem. It's fine. If you want, you can mention. That is okay. But you don't mention. If you mention, you have to mention as per rule. That means you cannot put a number into it. Understood? Because as per rule, it should be string. You don't mention it, it's okay. If you are mentioning, follow the rule. Compulsory. Right? That means this is optional. You don't need to give. Right? That is what actually optional rules. That means why we have to define some rules optional. This is example. Right? Here we are making it optional. There can be more than one optional. You can mention quantity as optional. You can mention stock as all optional also you can define. So, but generally, why we need optional rules in a contract? Optional rules are defined in a contract in order to define goals. Goals because they may or may not be achievable. Right? That is the objective time bound. It must achieve. Goal is not time bound. You can achieve or not. That is difference. So that is one important point about contract. Another important is a contract. A contract can contain read-only rules. Read-only rules. A contract can contain optional rules. A contract can contain read-only rules. What is meant by read-only rules? See here, suppose we have price. So we mentioned price. After mentioning, suppose we have category. Category is some electronics. Okay, fine. That's okay. Now next option here is after initializing, we have to print them. So I am printing console.log name is equal to how to access name product dot name. In the next line, price is equal to product dot price. In the next line, stock is equal to product dot stock, and quantity is equal to product dot quantity, and category is equal to product dot category. All these we are mentioning. We are all mentioning. This is the way of presenting all the content. Now here is, you can see we will compile and run this. It will be working fine. Let's run this. So tsc index.ts node index.js, and you can see it is working fine. Now already here price is mentioned as 56,000. Now before printing, I will access product dot price and I will change to 60,000. It is okay. That means after you initialize some value, you can reassign any new value any number of times. Any number of times you can reassign value. That means you can see here. So I am changing. I will compile again, and you can see this time the new price will come 60,000. That means you can assign any number of times. Later, if you want, you can change. You can change price, you can change stock, you can change quantity. You cannot change category, or you cannot change product name. For example, you have Gmail. You taken an ID, Gmail ID. You can change your password, but you can never change your ID. Once you taken, fix. You cannot change your ID. If you don't want that ID, just ignore it, delete your account and create a new ID. But you can never change IDs. Am I right? You cannot change ID. You can change your password. You can change your other credentials, mobile numbers. You can change your alternative accounts. You can change, but you can never change your ID. That is fixed. But in the beginning, it will allow to mention. Once you mention, it cannot be changed. Such you want to design, then you can make it as, you can see now, I can change the name also. So product dot name is equal to, currently I can change as Samsung LED TV. Some change I have done. That change will be updated here. You can see I will compile and name change it to Samsung LED TV. I don't want name to be changed. Then we can mark that name in the contract as read only. If I mark it as read only, then it cannot be changed. You cannot change. It says that you cannot assign a new value into it. Whatever you mentioned at the time of initialization, same. You cannot change it, but you can change price. You can change price because it is not read only. You can make it all read only also, your wish. It can be read only, it can be optional. You can write both. Suppose name is not mandatory, then you can make it as what? Optional. But optional also, if it is read only, means you cannot add any new value. Understood? So optional is different, read only is different. Don't link both of them. That means optional is about whether you can ignore or not. Read only is about when you are using it, whether you can reassign a value into it or not. That means read only will not allow to change the values. That means a contract can contain read only rules. Read only rules. That means you cannot assign any value. Any value. You cannot assign any value after initialization. After initialization, you cannot assign any value. That is what actually read only is. So syntax, you have to write like this. We have to define read only and property, and we have to define data type. That's how we need to configure. Example, I will give you this program. This is example. I will copy this. This is the example of that. That is example. Right? How you can configure. Name is read only. That means once you initialize, you cannot reassign. You cannot change. That means here in this program, this will be invalid. Am I right? Because you cannot assign. So a contract contains so many things. A contract, how do we define a contract? How to define the rules in contract? How to define optional rules? How to define read-only rules? Read-only rules, optional and read-only. Next, important, you have to know that a contract can be extended. A contract can be extended. That means you can extend the contracts. A contract can be extended. You can extend the contract. Contract need to be extended. Why we need to extend the contract? Why you cannot replace the contract? That means replacing contract is not a good idea. Always extending is a good idea. Why? Because, for example, see here, what is meant by extending? Suppose what happens is, here, we designed a bank application. This bank application version 1. In this version, we have two options. So like we have, suppose, customer. So that is like personal banking. That is one option. We have like NRI banking. Two modules are there, two options are there. Now what happened is, we installed this application on our device. That means on a mobile, we installed that application. So this bank application we are installing, and it is having two modules. That is personal banking and NRI banking. Now what happened after few days, you have to add one more new feature into the tab. Now very important is, will you add that new feature to this existing, or will you create a new one for it? See here, I am creating another bank app and version 2. In this version, I am adding one more new feature here. This is version 2. Yeah, let's make it. Yeah. So in this, what I am doing is, in this version 2, in the bank app version 2, I am adding some loans, some new option. Why you are adding like that? Why can't you change the first version itself? Why you are developing a new version and adding new feature? Why can't you replace the old one with new feature? Question understood? Point understood? Right? Why you are developing a new version, just replace the old one. We cannot do like that. Why? Because now the point is, for example, now the latest Windows version is Windows 11. Still in your desktop, laptops, everywhere you may have Windows 8. Now if I ask you, why you are not updating to Windows 11? Then what will be your answer? So many issues will be there. Like one problem is, one point is, whatever new things they have designed in Windows 11, I don't need them. I am using an old version. My work is going on in that version. So there is no interruption to my work. Then why should I update? Understood? Right? They developed a new option that is very good. I want to use that option. Then only I will update. I don't want that. I am not interested in that new thing. Then I will still continue with my old version. You cannot forcibly modify the old one. Why? Because already some people are using it. And another point is, their machine may need more memory and they don't have. For the new version, they may need more memory and they don't have. Then they don't want to update. Understood? That means, for example, you see many times you are using your phone. When you are using your phone, you will get some apps in your phone. After that, what you do? You update regularly those apps. After that, after few days, you reset your phone, master reset. When you reset your phone, all will be deleted and your phone will be as beginning. In the beginning, how they given the apps. And once you started using those apps, many times you might have observed, it says that you are using an old version, please update. Am I right? Some apps, without updating, you can use the old one itself. But some apps you have to mandatorily update. Why? Because they may have made changes in security. When they made some changes in security, it is mandatory to update. Others you can ignore. That means here the point is, you may be still using older version. You cannot simply replace the old and put the new. That means you need to give an alternative. For example, you see you are using Gmail. Suddenly observe carefully, so many times when you are using Gmail, due to some technical reasons, internet slow down, speed, very slow. Then immediately, I think you have observed, Google will alert you saying that your internet connection is very low, slow. Do you want to switch to HTML version? Have you observed? Sometimes it will say, do you want to switch to HTML version? When you switch to HTML version, what will happen? You can watch your emails. But if you want to attach any files, drag drop like options not available. You have to click browse button, select the file, upload the file and attach. But if you have high speed, then you can drag and drop and attach. Am I right? Have you observed that? That means you cannot say that to use my Gmail, you must have 100 GB PS. You must design your, remember, if you are designing an application for advanced people, that application will always fail. Your application must reach. So even users who are using very slow internet speed, then only your application will success, especially on internet. When you are developing application for web, make sure that your application reaches every device, even it is having low connection speed. Then only it will be success, otherwise fail. Right? Because you cannot develop only application with high speed internet. Then nobody will use. Only people with high speed will use. That means now the question is, if you develop an application in such a way that for high speed and low speed, both people it looks same, then how high speed people will be satisfied? You must give some attractiveness, na? Right? Attractiveness, right? Attractiveness, that means you say that, okay, you are using high speed, then you have an interactive version, you can drag and drop and attach. If you don't have high speed, no problem. You browse, select, attach and upload. Understood? That means an application must be provided in multiple versions. Why? Because the old version is still in use. The new version, if he wants, he will update. Otherwise, it will be used by other set of people. That means without disturbing an existing contract, you have to extend the contract. For example, see now, that same concept. Suppose I am giving here interface HDFC, so version 1. In this, I am designing two options, personal banking. It is what type? String. I am defining another one, suppose NRI banking. So that is also string. That's it, I defined. Now what happened here is I am creating another interface. This interface, HDFC version 2. Now, in this, there will be loans, understood? And this is also string type. But anybody who installs this version, he must get these two also. Am I right? Along with those two, this one will be extra. Then the second version, no need to design them again. No need to design the existing again. It have to simply extends. It extends which version? HDFC version 1. Then automatically, if anybody, suppose see here, I am creating LET. So bank app, I am creating bank app, and this bank app is latest. This is latest. That means it is using HDFC version 2. Understood? HDFC version 2. Am I right? It is the type HDFC version 2. Now, according to that, it have to implement all three. It have to implement all three. That means personal banking. So that means this is string type. This indicates that same I am giving as personal banking, just string. I said personal banking services. Okay. And another one is NRI banking. This is some NRI banking services, something like this. Now we need loans. So that is car and personal loans, something like this I am defined. Now very important is somebody don't want the new feature. Then what he will do is he will create a bank application. This is legacy type. Legacy means old version. And he will take HDFC, which version? Version 1. As per that version, he needs only two details. He can use only two details. What are those? Personal banking and NRI banking. Loans not available. That means some people can install the legacy. Some people can install the advanced. Advanced version will get new features. Legacy people will get old features. That means, is it mandatory to update? Actually, update also will be in your mobile settings. Have you seen? You will see update manual or automatic. If you turn off updates, then it will be working old version only. Only security, like suppose Paytm, banking applications, PhonePe, all these need security patches actually. Every few days, new security features are added into that. Due to that, mandatory update is required. If you don't update, they will say that please update, then only you can use. But some not required. You can still use the old version. That means multiple versions of same application you can use in various locations. For example, MS Windows I told you. Similarly, like suppose MS Office. Still people are using MS Office 213 or 217. We have very latest MS Office. They will not use the latest until or unless they need the latest features. If they don't want the latest features, they will continue with old. So without disturbing the existing version, you need to build a new version. That is extensibility. And that new version will contain new features along with old features, and old features need not to be rebuilt again. Understood? It should just adopt the old features and use the new features. This is called extensibility. This is called, in general, inheritance. Understood? The main purpose of inheritance is extensibility. Secondary, reusability. Primary, extensibility. This is inheritance. That means extending a contract. That means you can extend a contract. You can extend a contract. A contract can be extended. So it is the mechanism. It is the mechanism of inheritance used for contracts. That means, so here, where a new contract is created that extends existing contract, where a new contract is created that extends the existing contract. That means it can use, that means extended contract comprises of new features and old features implemented from existing contract. Understood? Existing contract. That is what very important. New features and old features implemented from existing contract. So that is what actually extensibility. You can extend a contract. That is how we can configure. This is example for extensibility. And here so many points are there. A single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. In inheritance, extensibility, so many types. That we will see in next session. Tomorrow we will continue with that. Okay. In tomorrow's session, we will finish the concept of contracts. Right. So many other points are there we have to discuss. Then we go with classes. 2-3 days more time will be there to finish all TypeScript. Then we can start Angular. Okay. Na? Tomorrow we will continue with this. Right.